So, tell me something terrible.
It's
Are you
fine.
good?
Yep.
Do we need some coffee?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, no, now you're yawning.
Yeah, because I'm empathetic.
Yeah, right.
I've been told that's what that means. If you yawn after a yawn, you have deep amounts of empathy. I think you're the one that told me that.
No, I said if you don't yawn after someone else yawns, you're a psychopath.
And if you do, you're
Not a psychopath.
empathetic.
No. You cannot be a psychopath and also not be empathetic. They're not
Can you, though?
opposites. You cannot have empathy if you're psychopathic, but
The moral of the story is I'm not a psychopath. I'm not a psychopathic.
nope, a psychopath. You're a psychopath.
Our language abilities at 10:52 on a Monday are spot on. Let's press forward.
Okay.
We have no announcements this week.
None.
Except for the pins. They're in. So if you're a patron, month 2, you'll be getting those shipped out or hand-delivered if we see you. Which, like, half of them we see regularly.
Currently.
And half of them we will track down. Not the people that live in North... What does he call
South.
it? He always calls it Kakalaki? We're from Michigan. I don't know. I think, it's Charlotte-ish. North
How
Carolina.
about you just tell everybody where everybody lives?
It's a big city. I don't think they're going to find them.
You don't know.
Go find him. He works at a bank. Oh, no. I've narrowed it down even more. He's doomed.
Ah.
So, yeah, the pins came in. They look sweet. We posted about them on
The
Facebook.
Soch. Yeah.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I didn't put it on the Twitter. If you haven't found out by now, Tiff's in charge of Facebook and I'm in charge of Twitter. That's why we have like 200 Facebook followers and 20 Twitter followers. Because I'm a social media guru.
No, me too. Can you tell?
Anyway, so yeah, they came in. They look nice. They're metallic.
Mm-hmm. And soft enamel.
Soft enamel, like my teeth. No?
Nope.
Different? Okay. Anyway, but those will be going out. All right. You're yawning now.
I am.
You empathetic psycho. Let's start this thing.
Okay.
I did see that it's about earthquakes. Spoiler alert. That's all I know.
Okay.
I don't know if this is about the disassociation of California.
Not quite, but it obviously happens.
When it gets pushed out into sea, is that going to be disassociation? I just threw that word in there on the fly.
No, it wouldn't be disassociation. I think it would just be disconnection.
It's going to be the conjointed states of America.
I also don't think it's separating it's colliding. That's why we have an entire mountain range.
Well, second to history, my next strongest subject is geography. So let's dive deep into that today.
You mean geology?
Nope. Geography. I don't know where California. Just kidding. That would be embarrassing. Don't ask me to point out
The second largest state in our union?
Yeah, don't ask me to point out where
Connecticut is at?
Montana's at. I think it's a square. Is that the rectangle?
Yeah, but there's 6 states in that area that are shaped like rectangles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oklahoma has a panhandle, right?
It does. So does Florida.
Yeah, but Florida's is chunky. Oklahoma's is literally
A tiny little handle.
thin and quaint.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cute way to explain Oklahoma.
Aw. Can you start your thing,
Yep.
lady?
All right.
Sweet.
So-
Earthquakes. Woo.
Yeah. So this episode...
Richter scales. Take a shot every time you hear Richter. Just kidding. If you're on your way to work.
You know what? Honestly, I don't think I wrote Richter on here one time.
You failed us all.
I used the word magnitude.
Magnitude.
So that's when you'll want to take the shot.
Of coffee because you're on your way to work. Which most people are when they listen to this.
Yeah, maybe
I mean, if
not.
it's a Saturday night, get crazy. I
Yep.
don't care. If it's a Tuesday night or Monday night, which it is now, get crazy. We don't
Yep.
care. I don't work on Tuesdays, though.
Or in the middle of the day on Sunday, we don't judge nobody for when they drink.
Heck no.
Yep. Okay. So this episode's about earthquakes. One earthquake in
Gonna
particular.
rock you. No?
Nope.
Okay.
Love you.
We just wrote a description for
I'm
episode
really
13,
bad,
so
yeah.
we're in bad pun mode.
Yep.
So
I'm also really bad at yes-anding, I find out. I just shut your bad jokes down real quick.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's part of our dynamic. I try to be funny and you're honest.
I'm a negative Nancy.
I call that honesty. Yep.
So this episode is going to be about one specific earthquake called the Loma Prieta Earthquake, aka
Probably should have looked how to sound that out.
whatever. So it's also known as the World Series earthquake.
Oh, baseball?
Yes.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I love sports.
Yep. So on October 17th, 1989. How old were you?
In October of 89, I was 1.
In like 3 months or whatever. May.
Yeah, nobody cares about months.
5 months.
Do I get to guess what teams are playing, or do you not?
Yes, take a guess.
Late 80s.
Yep, it was Game 3 of the World Series, and it was scheduled to take
That
place.
was before the Yankees were good and after the Tigers were good. So it's going to be a weird American League team like the Oakland A's or something random. Was it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And then random National League team. I'm going to go with the Padres. No idea. The Braves.
Same city.
San Diego?
Yeah.
What team?
Hold on, I wrote it down. Giants.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
That is
yeah,
not
you're
the
right.
same
Sorry,
city.
whatever.
No, it's
They're
okay.
in the same area. San Diego was affected.
Okay. All right. Hey, Oakland though. Come on now.
Yes.
That was pretty good.
Yes. Yes. So Game 3 of the World Series was scheduled to take place at 5:35 p.m. that night.
Why don't they play World Series games at that time nowadays? I could get down for a 5:30. Oh, that's locally.
Locally.
In Oakland or
In
San
Oakland, in
Francisco.
California.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
which is like 4 hours.
Here. Yeah, that's normal time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So the Oakland A's, as you guessed, and the San Francisco Giants were facing off at the Candlestick Park Stadium
In San Francisco.
in San Francisco.
Yep.
So during the pre-show at 5:04 p.m., an earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 struck the
Giggity.
Giggity. Oh no! I literally researched this and then spent like 3 hours writing it because distractions, and it never dawned on me.
If that doesn't make Jamie smile, I quit this podcast.
Jamie, you better be smiling because I got a lot riding on this podcast.
Not that much.
No, really. It was just bonding time.
This is a passion project at its finest.
Yep. So an earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 struck the San Francisco Bay Area. It lasted only 15 to 20 seconds, depending on the ground, like soil makeup.
Less giggity.
Just one
Sorry.
gig. Just a gig. Not even quite to giggity. So this was the largest earthquake to hit San Francisco since the huge quake that hit in 1906. It's the one that started a bunch of fires and destroyed nearly the entire city.
I feel like we've talked about that before.
Probably. I know we learned about it. I learned about it. It's because Bank of America exists solely because of the earthquake in 1906.
That was dollop. There's a dollop on that.
Probably.
100% there's a
Most
dollop
likely.
on that because
Very early on.
You and I both know about that, and that's
Yes.
one of the few podcasts we
Yes.
both listen to, historically speaking.
Yeah, which is a good one. So if you're super into history and have a really raunchy sense of humor, very raunchy, and please, like, not super easily offended, go listen to the dollop.
Yes.
They're amazing.
They are amazing.
So that's, the fires destroyed nearly the entire city. And so this particular earthquake that happened in 1989 was felt as far away as San Diego and as inward.
Whale's vagina. Sorry. Anchorman. And I mean,
Hey,
knew that was
before there were memes, there were just people shouting quotes from Anchorman at each
Yes.
other.
loud noises.
Sorry, Brick. I ate your chocolate covered squirrel. So it was felt from San Diego all the way inward to western Nevada.
Okay.
So across, because, San Francisco's in the
Yeah,
Bay, all the way across the state of California into Nevada.
Towards Vegas.
Yep.
The only thing in Vegas or the only thing in Nevada anybody knows about.
Right, because the rest is literally just dirt.
Dessert.
Yep. So the earthquake resulted in 63 deaths, 57 in the immediate event, and 6 indirectly related to the earthquake. There was 3,757 injuries, 400 of which were serious. It displaced 12,053 people, and didn't include the comma, 18,306 homes were damaged, with an additional 963 homes that were completely destroyed. And there were 2,575 businesses damaged, along with 147 completely destroyed. And it did an estimated of $6.8 billion with a B dollars in damage, and another $4 billion.
This is so many numbers.
Yep. Lots of people died.
Yes.
Not lots of people. A small amount of people died.
That's still a lot of
Lots
people.
of damage. $6 billion worth of damage. And then there was another $4 billion of lost business from like just business interruptions estimated on top of that. There were also outages from the quake. So the marina, like electrical outages. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's San Francisco. You never know. Outages.
All the outages.
Yep.
Everywhere. So, which
Good
we
for them.
fully support.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
So the marina in the Bay Area and Santa Cruz took the brunt of the damage. So we'll get some more on that later.
Hold on. Was the San Diego Zoo around then?
I would imagine there was no mention of a zoo, like the zoo. San Diego was kind of like the end of where it was felt at. San Francisco was hit.
Okay. That's right.
San Francisco was 56 miles away from the epicenter, and Santa Cruz was 10 miles away from the epicenter.
Did the Golden Gate stand?
It did.
Okay.
Other bridges on the other hand.
You love bridges. So
I do. I fucking love bridges. It's
you need a shirt that says that.
I fucking love bridges with a Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah.
Like
Swaying
all in an
out.
S shape.
Yeah.
It's fine.
With
We're
the
fine.
person jumping off it.
No, a Yugo. A Yugo.
Just buzzing off the sides. Whee! All right. If we ever get merch, there's our first idea. I'm gonna write that down. Just kidding.
Okay, here's
I don't have a pen.
all of the pages.
Yeah, you have like a dictionary of pages. Anyway, keep going.
So anyway, the entire event was captured by ABC's Goodyear blimp. Event.
You just said the entire event.
The entire event.
There you go.
Was captured by ABC's Goodyear blimp that was supposed to be capturing the aerial footage of the game. Instead, along with handfuls of other sport reporters and announcers, it was thrust into the front line coverage of, quote, the big one.
Do they have can you look up videos of, was the game going on? No, I guess it was before.
No, it was the
happened.
pre-show.
Okay. So
it was literally 31 minutes before the game was supposed to start.
Can you watch live, the announcers during the pre-show when this happens?
I don't think you could, no, because the footage cut out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The signal was interrupted?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So most people were at home, having left early to get ready for the game, or stayed after work for parties with coworkers to watch the game. Which means that traffic during a traditional busy rush hour was severely reduced. This is claimed to be the saving grace and the sole reason the casualties were not in the thousands. It was that it was originally estimated it would have been if there was a typical traffic flow, which at the time consisted of about 195,000 vehicles during rush hour over this just the one bridge that collapsed.
Hard to fathom.
Yes.
Just where we lived, that's crazy.
Yeah. So barely anyone was out when the earthquake hit.
Yeah, they're all at home watching the game.
Yep. Solely because of the game. Mm-hmm. Yep. So at 5:04 p.m., everyone's televisions across the United States started to flicker as the earth started to roil. As the footage cut out, Al Michaels, the announcer at the time.
He's still alive.
Is he?
Yeah.
I figured you're going to know some names.
Yeah.
You
don't know Al Michaels? You would know
Fuck
him?
no.
Okay.
Is he the guy that goes...
No.
In every AM broadcast? No. Because then I would be triggered.
That's Jim Price.
All right.
On Tigers baseball. No, you would know Al Michaels' voice. He's done Olympics and stuff. You would know his voice if you heard it.
Probably.
Because he's been on ABC forever. And he did Monday Night Football. He's done everything.
Yeah.
You've heard his voice before.
I'm sure.
Yes.
And I don't pay attention to any sports.
Yeah.
Okay. You're assuming I would know his voice.
I would hope you would know his voice.
You're also assuming I pay attention.
Okay. This is an assumption.
So anyway, Al Michaels, who was announcing the game at the time, was heard saying, "I'll tell you what, we're having an earth," and then screens went black. Yep.
Dramatic.
Yep. So 62,000 fans had made their way into Candlestick Stadium, and less than half of the fans were seated by the time the earthquake started. Luckily, just previously, like, I don't know if it was a week. Anyway, very soon before this quake hit, the upper deck of the stadium had undergone seismic strengthening, so that prevented a large number of injuries from the upper deck failing.
Oh, good. A little foresight there for the
Yeah,
engineers.
they were trying. Literally one of the bridges that collapsed was scheduled to have seismic reinforcement, like, in retrograde, like, fitting happening, like, a week after. Like, they were trying to get their shit together.
That's rather unfortunate timing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So as the shock wave rolled through the structure, fans described seeing lights swaying in the concrete upper deck windscreen. Ah! I'm sure there was a lot of screaming.
The wind just screamed at you.
Run,
coming out of the sky.
So anyway, fans described seeing lights swaying in the concrete upper deck windscreen, moving in a wave-like manner several feet.
I've seen that happen at the big house when the crowd goes crazy. The whole stadium starts moving and shit. The scoreboard starts waving.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
My God.
When Carl and I were at that Penn State game when Michigan won, Mario Manningham, you don't know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
There's like 4 people listening that do. The entire building was moving. Like, it was like you have 100.
This is U of M's
football.
Okay, I haven't been to the football stadium. I've been to their basketball.
You've got 120 whatever thousand people all losing their GD minds at once. The whole, like, everything moves. Lights, scoreboards, everything moves.
Several feet?
Yeah, you can see it. You can see everything shaking and swaying.
Is it described as just wait till I get to the
No
description.
wind screaming though.
No. So it was reported that the stadium moved in, quote, an articulated manner.
Oh, I don't remember the articulation with which it moved.
Yeah, it's just some shimmying, not like full on like
I didn't
shifting.
sit down and write a poem about how articulate everything moved.
So the Giants pitcher, Mike Krukow, described the earthquake as feeling like, quote, a giant 600-pound gopher. A golfer.
I like how specifically he's like, it was a 600-pound gopher.
Yep. So it had rolled in from behind the right field fence. Prior to the quake, a geologist had predicted the higher chance of an earthquake of the magnitude of 6.5 or higher to hit the area sometime in the near future in an interview with a reporter from the Gilroy Dispatch.
That's like that movie with The Rock. What's the movie with The Rock?
San Andreas.
Yeah.
I'll give you one guess where this earthquake came from.
San Andreas Fault?
Very close.
Because do you remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Like the scientist is like, oh, it's going to happen like...
Yeah. It's because the 1906, it was from the San Andreas Fault. Uh-huh. And so there's a lot of predictions saying that there's like an 85 to 100 year cycle that a really big... Throwing pens everywhere. Now I'm fucked. I can't read my paper without it. Hold on.
Dramatic pause. Can I make a really bad joke while you pick up your pen?
Go for it.
So, in this instance, the earthquake was at fault. Sorry. She has her pen back. She's just staring at me in disbelief at how bad that was.
There's like a prediction that like there's like an 85 to 100 year like cycle of like really big quakes that are considered, quote, violent, which depends on like its range on the Richter scale. I don't know. I don't look that much
Richter
into
scale.
It.
You said it.
But I didn't write it. I just
know.
said
Normally you don't say anything you don't write.
I know, because there's a lot of information in the like sheets. Way too much information, and now I know like stupid shit. So welcome to Fun Facts with Tiffany.
Da 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 da. The more you know. That's my star rainbow noise. It's also my queef noise.
No.
I'm not editing that out, by the way. Keep reading.
Anyway, there was someone who predicted a quake happening within the near future because they're
what
thinking...
What year did this happen in? 1989?
Yes.
So we're due for another one in like 30 years?
Probably.
Cool.
So the baseball player Willie Mays almost...
He's important.
I've heard the name.
You've heard of Willie Mays, but not Al Michaels.
Yes. Okay. I've heard of Willie Mays, and then I had to double check to make sure that it really was a baseball player because I was like, I'm pretty sure I've heard Scott mention this name before, and then I was like, you're probably wrong because you are a lot, so maybe you should look it up first.
Okay.
So anyway, Willie Mays almost didn't come to the game that night because he didn't like the way the hot, thick air felt in the city that day. Because we all know that baseball players are very superstitious.
Very superstitious.
So 56 miles south of San Francisco.
Can't tell right now, neither of us can sing, so just be prepared for that.
Yeah, I was in band for a reason.
And I was in neither for a reason.
So 56 miles south of San Francisco, near a mountain peak named Mount Loma Prieta in the Santa Cruz Mountains, along with an undiscovered oblique slip reverse fault.
Okay.
The only thing I can tell you is oblique is an angle.
Obliques are on humans, too.
They are.
Because you can tweak an oblique, and my dad thinks that's the funniest injury. A tweaked oblique is like his favorite injury.
I wonder where your sense of humor comes from.
My dad jokes come from my dad's jokes, so yes.
Not quite.
No, I know, but
No,
I'm saying
yeah.
it definitely aided
How
him.
old were you when the first time you heard your father say fuck?
Once.
When you were like 26.
Yeah. He was in a dark place then. It's fine.
So anyway, it was not quite on the St. Andreas Fault. It was next to and very close to. So like I guess the San Andreas Fault is more like horizontal, where this fault line was on like a 70-degree angle with the Earth.
I don't have my protractor on me. It's in my other
anybody
purse.
that has a clue about how fault lines work,
You're not listening to this podcast, so thank
definitely
you.
not. You're listening to like NPR or something way more informative.
Isn't your cousin Kirk smart? He might know.
No. He can tell you about like, he was a nuclear engineer, I think.
Yeah,
or
he
something
might.
like
And
that.
he was
for the
on the
Navy.
West Coast for a while, wasn't he?
No. He was definitely, I'm pretty sure he was
Oh,
off the
no,
East
it's
Coast.
his sister's on the West Coast.
Yes,
yeah,
his
that's
sister's on the West Coast.
Gotcha.
Anyway, this fault line was next to the San Andreas Fault. So the quote unquote rupture which is where like the epicenter was inside of the Earth, was located 11 miles underground. So typically,
11 miles?
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yes. Typically earthquakes, the epicenters usually occur about 4 to 6 miles underneath, something like that. I don't know. I read it in passing and I thought I'd include it.
This is approximately twice as deep then.
Yes.
Okay.
And was still a very severely strong quake. I don't get it.
Earth pulled a muscle, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. So the west side of the fault line, which is the Pacific Plate, which that's what has like the ocean in California on it. Yes, it jumped 6.2 feet northwest, so toward Canada, and 4.3 feet upward vertically.
Okay.
So this plate was like, bink, this direction.
Fink.
Yep. Just like that.
She moved her
and then a
hands
6.9
opposite. Yeah.
and a 6.9 magnitude earthquake happened. Just
So
with this little
it was 6 feet up and 6 feet north and 4 feet up.
Yeah.
4 feet 3 inches.
Yeah, so it went this direction.
So it had a 51-inch vertical.
Yeah.
That'd be better than anyone in the NBA draft.
Yep.
Just point that out.
So, and it also came like over the North American plate, which is where we're located. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is what caused the earthquake.
Yep.
Followed were days of aftershocks. 2.5 minutes after the initial wave, an aftershock wave with a magnitude of 5.2 hit again. So
That's
there was
pretty healthy.
Yeah, so there's a 6.9 initial quake,
Yep.
and then 2.5 minutes later, another 5.2 magnitude aftershock.
Wow.
Yep. I don't know how many shots y'all just had to take, but
There
you
was
might
no
be passed
Richter
out.
scales, but a lot of magnitudes.
Yeah, I told you. Richter scale, got to take a shot for the magnitude. So over the following weeks, 20 additional large aftershocks were recorded with a magnitudes of 4.0 or higher, and more than 300 with magnitudes of 2.5 or higher.
Holy cow. 300?
300
That's bonkers.
for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like, what, one every hour for a week?
I don't I don't know. There was no mention of like a frequency. I'm sure probably in a lot of the pages there was, but I skimmed a lot of it. I got to one point where I was like, I can't deal with this.
My brain.
Yep. So like the normal, normal earthquakes in California that people like don't even bat an eye at, those are the ones that are like the 2.5.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was the huge earthquake, like one that was like slightly less huge, and then the rest were like just undulating, constant baby earthquakes that people were like, oh, it's shaking. It's fine.
Like grab onto your walls for a second. We're okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe a glass might fall off your table like a cat pushed it off. Yeah. And the aftershock zone measured 25 miles in diameter from the epicenter.
Okay.
So in San Francisco, buildings, homes, and bridges collapsed. The marina experienced liquefaction. Don't worry, I'll get to it.
Okay.
So the bay in the marina area was built on backfill, sand, and literal trash and waste, which was saturated with groundwater. So
seems like solid.
Yeah, they were trying to like fill in, and so like there was like essentially like a flat landfill, and they just filled it with like loose sand. So the ground was super soft, and it had no steady bedrock underneath, and very little support structures located for the buildings. So this allowed for vertical waves from the earthquake to weaken structures even further. On top of all of that, the gas mains and pipes burst, sparking a major structural fire in an intersection of San Francisco. The fire department quickly gathered volunteers to help run hoses 2 blocks away to the bay, where a fireboat named Phoenix pumped water from the bay
Seems a little on the nose.
Yes. So they pumped water from the bay to the fire engines that were on the shore because the fire hydrant system had failed.
All good things.
Yep. Which is like the second episode where we're like, the fire hydrants were kind of a big deal, guys.
Yeah.
So an estimated 1.4 million people lost power, and mostly due to damage to electrical substations. So and now we're going to get into some of the structure failures.
Okay.
A 1.25 mile segment of the bi-level Cypress Viaduct built on marshland that ran along Interstate 880 gave way. And so this was the cause of the highest number of deaths associated with the earthquake. The upper deck failed, crashing down onto the lower deck of the bridge. Over a mile of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Collapsed.
Yep.
Yes. So there were 42 people that were crushed to death, and others waited up to 90 hours to be rescued.
So that was like most of the people that died were on that section?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why the fact that people had either left early to go watch the game or were staying after to watch the game, that's why that's such an important... Yeah.
Okay.
Because...
Otherwise, it would have been packed full of thousands of
they
people.
They were thinking that they had estimated later on that if it was normal traffic hour, thousands of people would have died.
Yeah.
So the cars on the upper deck were thrown about violently, with some flipped sideways and others dangling on the edge of the freeway. Fun.
A little scary.
Love bridges.
Yeah.
So nearby residents and factory workers immediately jumped into action, climbing over wreckage with ladders and forklifts, pulling people out of their trapped cars between gaps as narrow as 4 feet in some places. Employers from the Pacific Pipe brought heavy lift equipment to the scene and started using it to help raise sections of the fallen bridge to make way for the rescuers to get into the rubble. Local workers continued volunteering in the search and rescue efforts until October 21st. And then they had to take a pause from the cause while President Bush and the California governor at the time came to survey the damage.
The original Bush.
Was it? Yes.
Yes.
89?
Yeah.
Very much so. Yep.
Whatever.
HW.
Was he
Not
HW?
just W, just
Herb
HW.
Walker. Yeah.
Yep. So the Bay Area Bridge also had, which is like a separate bridge. So that was the Cypress Bridge. This one's the Bay. Cypress.
Cypress?
Apparently, I got called out by a scrapper for saying Cypress funny because apparently it's Cypress.
It is Cypress.
Okay. Piss off.
All right, here, Miss Sippy Prissy. It's Cypress.
Anyway, there's another bridge For the Bay Area, it was the Bay Area Bridge. It had a 76-foot by 50-foot section collapse. So the bridge shifted 7 inches east, which caused the bolts in one section to shear off. And so that dropped the upper deck to the lower one. You'd think they'd realize double-deck bridges are a bad idea. So
hopefully they did after this.
Yes. So this bridge only had one casualty associated with it. While redirecting traffic, there was a miscommunication amongst the workers, and a brother and sister were accidentally redirected toward the gap, and they noticed it too late.
Oof.
Yes. So
and then
she
it
drove
turns into a Fast and Furious scene where there's whoosh.
Yeah, no, worse. Sorry. She drove over the edge. She died, and the brother managed to live through his injuries.
Okay. That's still tragic.
Yep. So there were also 5 people that died when a brick wall gave way. Like from an exterior wall collapsed. So in Santa Cruz, which was 10 miles from the epicenter, several buildings collapsed, including 4 that had already withstood the 1906 earthquake.
Oh.
Yeah. Kind of sad.
Old buildings at that point.
Yes. So 3 people were also killed when buildings collapsed along the Pacific Garden Mall. The Ford department store and a coffee shop both collapsed inward, trapping people inside. Immediately, people around the area started clearing away debris in rescue efforts. 2 police officers showed up on scene, managing to find 1 person alive trapped underneath the rubble, and unfortunately 1 dead. Santa Cruz lifeguards assisted in moving victims, and 6 teams of police dogs were brought in to help search for survivors. There were a total of 40 buildings collapsed and 60. Six. Just 6.
That's close.
Yes. I'm used to reading really big numbers with like mass deaths. So like 6 is like, whatever. So there were 6 deaths in Santa Cruz, along with damage to their boardwalk and the plunge building. I don't know what it is.
Sounds important.
Could have looked it up, didn't. And then 1 in 8 homes were destroyed. Liquefaction, which I literally read.
To, yep.
Yes, I literally read liquefaction as liquefaction in my mind.
It's not?
Nope. I finally like typed it out, and I typed out liquefaction, and it gave me an error, and it fixed it to liquefaction. And I was like, wow, I've been reading that wrong for about 2 hours now. So liquefaction also took place in the little town called Watsonville, where sand volcanoes... Yep, Watsonville, where sand volcanoes and landslides occurred.
Sand volcanoes?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll get to that too. So there were up to 40...
A treasure trove of goodies.
Yes. So there were up to 4,000 landslides across the area, some blocking major roadways for weeks, and 1 rock slide killing 1 person. But thanks to 4 years of drought, apparently that helped keep the number of quote-unquote land failures, like landslides and splitting and stuff like that, to a minimum. Even though there was already 4,000 of them. That's a minimum.
Oh, okay, good. Yep.
Yeah.
It's good to find some positive there in their drought.
You ready to move to California?
No.
Remember when we wanted to move to California?
When we were 21 and stupid? Yeah.
Yes. So Watsonville also...
Not that there's anything wrong. I just don't. Like, we got our own problems here, and they're
I
not
would
that
rather
scary.
deal with snow.
I'll shovel a driveway. Don't give me weird landslides.
That's exactly right. Drip some water because the pipes might freeze. Yeah, that's like a minimal.
Yeah.
So Watsonville also had homes dislodged from their foundations and structural failures to twin bridges that crossed the Slough River.
Perfect.
A couple bridges failed. And an access road to an island that was destroyed from liquefaction.
Liquefaction.
Yep. It's my new favorite word.
Yep.
So at this point, in writing this out, I realized I have no true understanding of what liquefaction is. So I looked it up. So according to the USGS, the United States Geological Survey Society liquefaction takes place when loosely packed waterlogged sediments at or near the ground surface lose their strength in response to strong ground shaking.
So it's like when you get... Never mind. They're a really bad turd.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Good.
So the water molecules get all shaken up, causing the dirt to shift and the space between the water and the solids to expand, turning the dirt into literal liquid.
Okay.
Earth diarrhea.
Earth.
So liquefaction occurring beneath
It's
buildings.
that dang quesalupa. Just kidding.
So liquefaction occurring beneath buildings and other structures can cause major damage during earthquakes. So this can lead to a lot of that, like horizontal moving, not like horizontal like this way back and forth, but horizontal this way in undulating waves.
Okay.
So
Not skirt, more like woo woo.
sure.
Okay. We're an audio medium. I don't know what you want from me.
That's why I said waves versus horizontal.
Skirt. No. Woo woo, yeah.
So I, of course, had to look up images because,
You want to see Earth diarrhea.
yeah. So it's when you look at like frozen ripples or waves in the
Whipples.
ground. Whipples? Those
Whipples
frozen
and
whipples and raves.
Whipples and raves.
Yep, in the ground. So like it's almost like huge tree trunks come up and like, when you look at sidewalk where it's got like the weird cracks and there's a big hump.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, a tree root displaced that sidewalk.
Yeah.
Except on freeways in buildings.
Fun.
So yeah, they're like
So there's just
multiple
ramps
feet.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big waves. So that obviously causes things to like tilt and shift, roads to crack. And so there were even pictures of like cars that were sticking out of what you could tell was almost like sandy spots, what used to be normal dirt, except these cars are like halfway in. So it looks like they fell into a giant muddy puddle and then the ground solidified around it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
They're just eating cars now.
Yes.
Fun.
But there's no holes. It just kind of fills in because it's like watery awfulness.
Huh.
Yep. So then I also looked up sand volcanoes because I was like, all right, I looked up,
like a dry
liquefaction.
sneeze.
I have to. No, it's like an artesian well, but with dirt.
Huh.
Yes. So
It just comes spewing out of a spot.
yes. So it looks like sand that had undergone liquefaction, but instead of it just being like surface sand, there's bedrock and a hole. And so the sand that had gone through liquefaction had worked its way up through this like little hole and just sort of created little like spews of sand instead of
It's like a sinking
water coming.
sand fountain.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yep.
Kids are playing in them and getting lost.
Bye. We'll never see you again. I have fun stories about the Warren Dunes and kids. We'll get to it later, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope that kind of helps you understand exactly how liquefaction and sand volcanoes work. So after all of that and the chaos that ensued, 10 days later, Game 3 of the World Series was finally played in a still standing Candlestick Stadium filled with 60,000 fans, and baseball players along with fans all sang along off-key in choked back tears, according to one ESPN reporter who was at the games, to the song San Francisco, performed by the cast of Beach Blanket Babylon, which is a hacky local gig, before the game started. And the Oakland A's swept the series against the Giants.
Huh. Nice. I was waiting for the ESPN reporter's name so I could make a comment.
Tim...
Kirchin?
Something that started with a K. It started with a K, but I think there's a W in his name.
Oh, Tim Kirchin's been around forever. I assumed he was a baseball guy.
There are 22 pages of research if you would like to find his name.
Yeah, let me thumb through them real quick while people wait patiently.
Yep.
Hold, please. Just kidding. No one cares that much.
So, how'd you feel about that one?
It was very informative.
Thanks. I'm really good at that, apparently. Very didactic.
You got me excited about baseball.
I'm sorry. And then I ruined it
Why
with...
did you... Don't be sorry. I didn't expect you to give me like box scores or anything.
Hell no.
And be like, in game 3, Ricky Henderson stole third base.
I mean, if you want to look through it, there are a few ESPN articles in there where they talk about them
it's the A's.
recalling
It's
game
Oakland
2.
and the A's. There's probably, Ricky Henderson probably stole some bases, but that's fine. You don't have to include that.
Nope.
Nope. No, it was good. And there wasn't, like, anytime you don't tell me, like, the people's names who died or
There
how
are
many children died.
I mean, there was one...
No, I said if you don't, then...
There was one baby that was killed because he wound up dying later from too much dust in his lungs.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Nowadays, he would have had a mask on and he'd been fine. Yay, COVID. How are you feeling after all that research? I feel like you had a lot of paperwork for that one.
More than I meant to. It was an accident.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, it was good. And if you made it this far, and this one went a little longer than anticipated.
It happened to the last one, too.
Congrats.
Yes, congratulations. Oh, sources real quick.
And you didn't even get to hear the first 3 times we tried to start this podcast, and it was interrupted by yawns and inappropriate jokes. The banter was too heavy for even this podcast. All right, sources. Source me out.
Yes. So the USGS.gov.
Us guess.
Yep. Wikipedia, of course. History.com, Encyclopedia Britannica, conservation.ca.gov, and an article by Tim. Oh, I wrote his name down. Tim. Fuck if I know.
Let me see. Where's it at? The bottom?
Right there, bottom.
Tim Keown. 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 Yep, that's not Kirchen.
Yep. On ESPN.com.
Keown. I have no idea. I've never heard of him.
Okay.
So he hasn't been around ESPN for at least the last 20 years.
All right.
Thanks for listening. And this is coming out. This is Friday's episode.
It's Friday's episode.
Enjoy your weekend. Or if you're in the weekend, or if you're listening to this in October of 2022, thanks.
If we haven't killed each other and divorced by then.
They'll still be on the internet. It's fine.
That is true.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.